Okay, so let's talk about this YouTube video. But it's not really just a video, is it? It's more like a massive, real-time psychological experiment. And what's wild is, it seems completely impossible, but it has absolutely captivated and, frankly, disturbed millions of people.
So you're probably wondering what's in this video. Well, here's the thing. When you hit play, you get nothing. Just a complete, total void.
And I mean nothing. There's absolutely no sound.
Not a single hint of a story. It is, for all intents and purposes, a blank slate, an empty canvas.
But here's the crazy part. This nothing provokes this incredibly powerful, really unsettling reaction in millions of us. So the real question becomes, why? Why does pure nothingness mess with our heads so much?
And that is the key. You see, this whole thing isn't some mystery about technology. Nope. This is a mystery of the human mind. It's all about us.
Which brings us to what we can call the empty video paradox. It's basically a perfect, completely unfiltered window into the raw mechanics of our own brains. Think about it. From a psychological standpoint, this thing is just fascinating. It somehow manages to activate our fear, but there's no actual threat. It sparks our curiosity, but offers zero reward, and it completely commands our attention with absolutely no content. I mean, how is that even possible? All right, let's dive in. We're going to start at the most primal level. What is actually happening inside your brain when it's faced with, well, nothing?
Well, you gotta remember, our brains are basically survival machines. They're hardwired from ancient times. And for our ancestors, what did silence and darkness mean? Usually, danger. A predator hiding in the shadows, a sudden, threatening change. So this empty, silent screen, it's basically pushing a very, very old button in our brain.
And when that ancient wiring gets tripped, your amygdala, which is kind of like your brain's built-in alarm system, just goes into overdrive. It starts screaming, "Danger! Danger!" even though, logically, you know you're just staring at a screen. This whole situation creates something psychologists call ambiguous threat perception. It's that super unsettling feeling of being afraid, but you have no idea why. The fear itself is very real, but since you can't point to a source, man, it just makes it that much more disturbing. Okay, so that's the primal fear part. But that's just the beginning, because then our higher level cognitive brain kicks in. And that part of our brain, it has one non-negotiable rule. It absolutely hates a vacuum. It refuses to accept nothingness.
You know, your brain is, at its core, a meaning-making machine. It's always trying to find patterns, to connect the dots, to create stories that make the world make sense. So when it's faced with a total void, its job is to immediately start filling it in.
There's a name for this. It's called apophenia. It's our tendency to see meaningful patterns in totally random stuff. It's the reason we see faces in clouds or think we hear whispers in static noise. And a black silent video? That's like the ultimate blank canvas for our pattern-hungry brains to go to work on.
So what happens? Our brains literally fill in the blanks themselves. First, we're confronted with this emptiness. Then, we start making up stories. We imagine there must be some hidden intention behind it all. And finally, we just project our own meaning and our own fears right onto that blank screen. The video basically becomes a mirror. But wait, there's more. There's another psychological quirk at play here called the Zeigarnik effect. You know that feeling when you can't stop thinking about an unfinished task? That's it. Our brains are obsessed with unresolved things. And this video, it's the ultimate cliffhanger. It creates this massive curiosity gap, and we become desperate to close it. We keep watching, not because it's fun, but because we need an answer that is never, ever going to come. So far, we've been talking about what happens inside one person's head, but this whole thing goes way beyond that. It's a social phenomenon. The mystery gets so much bigger because you know that millions of other people are watching and wondering the exact same thing. Yeah, this is where social psychology really takes over. First, you've got social proof. Our brain goes, hey, if millions of people are watching this, it must be important. Then comes herd behavior, that powerful impulse to just do what the crowd is doing. And on top of all that, we start to bond over this shared mystery. It creates this weird little community, all of us trying to solve the same puzzle. Okay, but there's one last piece to this puzzle, and it's a big one. The duration. 140 years. Let's be clear, that number is not random. It is a very deliberate, very powerful psychological trigger.
So what does a 140-year video do to us? Well, it does something pretty profound. By setting a finish line that you are absolutely guaranteed never, ever to reach, it forces you to confront your own mortality. This kicks off something called terror management theory, that deep down anxiety that comes from knowing our time is limited. Suddenly, this empty video becomes the stark, unavoidable reminder that we're not going to be around forever.
So let's put it all together. You've got primal fear, our brain's desperate need to create meaning, intense social pressure, and now a dose of existential dread. When you mix all that up, you get to the most important and maybe most unsettling revelation of this whole experiment.
See, we all like to think we're in charge of our own attention, right? That we choose to watch things because they have content or value or they're entertaining. But this video proves the opposite. It shows that our attention can be completely hijacked by a lack of content. It can be grabbed by uncertainty, by these psychological gaps, by this feeling of being out of control that we are just desperate to fix.
And that, right there, is the really chilling takeaway. The video itself, it's nothing. It's harmless. But what it reveals about us is that our brains can be so easily hooked, so easily manipulated, just by someone knowing which of our deepest psychological triggers to pull. So, I'll just leave you with this one thought. If a completely black, silent screen can grab hold of your attention and not let go, what else is out there? What else is controlling your mind, shaping your thoughts, and guiding your actions without you even noticing?